State can overcome that with some shooting and some quickness. Georgia Tech in white, Mississippi State in black. The Yellow Jackets win the opening tip. We're underway here in Atlanta. Yellow Jackets setting up in the front court against one of the stingiest defenses over the last few years. Chris Jans and that Mississippi State squad.
I like that entry pass inside, trying to bang away inside of the Bulldogs interior.
You see the starting five for Mississippi State. Jaden Epps is a guy that's going to be called upon to take some pressure off of Josh Hubbard. Needs somebody else to be an offensive weapon for this Mississippi State squad, which has started off a little bit slow out of the gate. You see the 3-4 record. They have challenged themselves quite a bit in the non-conference. This will be a great test as well. Off a curl, that is Kowacie Reeves. Kowacie Reeves, one of the top shooters on this Georgia Tech squad.
Well, that's what they got to do. They got to share that basketball. Just 6 turnovers and 20 assists in the last ball game. And the offense is humming good. They're really making each other better by sharing the basketball and trying to move that ball from one side of the floor to the other. You have to try to count how many times they can get it from one side to the other. Just a defender lost that time. A little shimmy like he was going to go along the baseline, came back over the top, is free to fire.
Reeves, who's been banged up a little bit this year, he is healthy, shooting 35% from downtown. Hubbard defers. Hubbard, again, one of the top scorers in the country, #1 scorer in the SEC. This is McGee, and McGee coughs it up and almost a turnover. It'll be Mississippi State basketball with 7 on the shot clock.
Well, it's one of the things we got a chance to watch this morning at the Georgia Tech shoot-around, really trying to keep Mississippi State on one side of the floor. They don't want them to try to get that ball from, 2 times from right to left and back left to right. They understand that that's where their defense really struggles to recover.
Ball comes into McGee, racing in the front court. Under 5 to shoot. McGee, rise and fire. Rims out, tapped around, and hauled in by Reeves and the Yellow Jackets. Fleming, who's really stepped up his play of late, back to Reeves on the return, and 2 for 2 from downtown is Kowacie Reeves.
Yeah, I like that one by Fleming. You mentioned he was in the all-tournament team when they were down there in Florida, so nice to see him sharing that basketball, recognizing the hot shooter early on. And Reeves, he's got behind that arc with 2 quick threes.
Walker muscling his way inside, takes it in the trees, rejected. That is a tough place to get a spot off against this incredible front court for Tech, in particularly Mo Sela, the talented freshman who's been a shot-blocking machine.
Yeah, I really like this kid. I wish I had those muscles when I was a freshman 40 years ago playing for Coach Dean Smith, but he just gets up quick off the floor, and I know he got whistled for the goaltending on that one, but you want your young big to be aggressive to go after anything inside.
Reeves misses, but there for the fall and an and one is Ndongo, the other part of that dynamic duo in the front court. Baye Ndongo with an and one.
Yeah, cleaning up the offensive glass, getting those second chance opportunities. Neither one of these teams particularly great shooters in the early part of this season, but when you got bigs that are hungry to get on that offensive glass, getting those second chance points, those points in the paint, will go a long way for Coach Stoudemire's squad.
Ndongo, who had such an impressive year last year for Georgia Tech, all ACC third-team performer, drills the free throw to make it a 3-point play to make it a 7-point lead for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, that was a pretty good-looking stroke there for the 61% shooter, right? Sometimes it's just confidence. You got to have that confidence. Basketball players out there, when you step to that line, well, remember that you put in that work in practice, on your driveway or in the park. Step to that line and shoot it with a confidence stroke.
Epps trying to show some confidence there. Too strong. Offensive rebound. Rims out. A point-blank shot for Brandon Walker. Just could not get it to go.
Well, some of that is intimidation down there with Sela and Ndongo as well. You realize, hey, I got to try to get this thing up quick before those shot blockers can come over and get it. And you rush it just a hair.
Steal. Quick hands right there by Sean Jones. Jones out of Houston, Texas, the senior. Hubbard fires up his first shot. It rims off. Another offensive rebound, and a great job knifing in. That's Jamarian Davis Fleming, a very talented 6'10" freshman.
Yeah, true freshman, and he's not afraid to go down there and mix it up with the two bigs from the Yellow Jackets. Look at him run the floor as well.
Yeah, Bulldogs now in transition. Quick three on the way. Straight away from downtown. It's Jaden Epps on the triple.
Well, that'll put a smile on Coach Jan's face, right? You get an offensive rebound for a bucket. You get yourself a quick three in transition.
Mustaf and Hubbard were banging bodies there. Georgia Tech working to the round. On the perimeter. Now driving. Tough shot by Fleming on a fade and fire. Hubbard comes in for the board. Hubbard feeling it. He checked three. Missed it. Tapped around. Another offensive rebound for State. And a beautiful fall for Brandon Walker.
Well, still in a page out of Georgia textbook. Getting on that glass. They got back-to-back offensive rebounds in there and got some points in the face themselves. Now we're knotted up at 9.
That's a 7-0 run for Mississippi State, and the run will stop with a foul, sending Georgia Tech to the free throw line. Epps called on the foul.
Yeah, you want to come back and get yourself back into a game early. You got to have some guys that are willing to pull up in transition. Epps knocking that triple down, and then off the long offensive rebound. I like that. Not shying away from the shot blocker. Take it right into the chest of the shot blockers.
You talked about confidence at the free throw line. That's something Sela still needs to find. Just 39% from the stripe. As you look at Chris Jans, he's part of a very distinguished group. 4 years now at Mississippi State. His first 3 all trips to the NCAA tournament. That hadn't been done in Starkville for nearly 20 years. You got to go back to the Rick Stansberry era. He's done a remarkable job at State and at New Mexico State before that.
Yeah, did a good job. He wins everywhere he goes. National championship down at the JUCO level. 66 wins in his first 4 years at Mississippi State. Second only behind Todd Gold. All he did last year was win the national championship.
Yeah, not bad. Walker can't connect. Long rebound to the Yellow Jackets into the hands of Fleming. Lob pass down low, Sela. They work it around, great ball movement. Fleming, little shake and bake. Drive, dish, and quick hands. Otherwise, Ndongo was about to bring the rim down on a two-hand slam. 15:28 to go. Pretty frenetic appearances for Chris Jans as Georgia Tech retakes the lead.
Flat out gets it done. Nice little baseline drive there, and a little pull up there by Fleming along that baseline. Beautiful play designed by that Georgia Tech coaching staff.
They've been waiting for one of these guards to step up, and Fleming doing so is a big addition. Follow-up slam, dropping the hammer is Sean Jones right off his pogo stick.
Wow, 5 offensive rebounds, 8 second chance points in the early going of this basketball game has fueled this Bulldogs attack.
They can crash with the best of them, even though they're giving up a lot of size. Tech in the front court. Shot clock winding down. Crack with a runner blocked. That is not necessarily the best part of his game.
No, he's more of a catch and shoot guy. He's struggling a little bit right now, but he's just got, like you say, you got to have the confidence. If you know you're a shooter, you got to play to your strengths. There's a clean rebound.
They go right inside. Pass to Washington. Weaving, missed the bunny. Everything but the finish. Now Hubbard, full throttle. And he'll set it up in the half court.
Can't leave Hubbard. He's got a mismatch with 2 bigs here in this pick and roll. Decided to give it up.
Mississippi State this year still trying to kind of find their identity on offense. They lost a couple of key players. There's Hubbard on the pull-up. Silky smooth and nothing but the bottom of the net.
Well, it's nice when you know you can give it up, you're going to get it back, and you still got the big 6'11" Ndongo on you. You can put it down on the floor, stop on a dime, and you see the elevation on his jump shot. It's quite impressive.
As Coach Jans points out, I mean, Hubbard is below 6 feet, but when you look at the pinnacle of his jump on the shot, it's almost like he's about 6'5".
That's exactly what Coach Jans said. And here he looking to attack again on this left wing.
Hubbard crosses over, scissor dribble, back out to Epps. We can hear Chris Jans in earshot hollering, move. Great pass down low. along the baseline, inside, 3 to shoot. Shot goes off the bottom of the backboard and into the hands of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, much better job getting Fleming that time on Hubbard. He was able to stay with him. The whole entire offense for Mississippi State broke down after that.
Peyton Marshall in the game for the first time, the 7-footer. Kraft sets up Fleming. Beg your pardon, that is Lamar Washington who came off the bench. Lamar Washington's going to be a key player for them. Remember, they lost their great point guard for a number of years to Syracuse, and now it's going to be Washington and Fleming and Chatfield trying to fill the void.
Yeah, you got to do it by committee, right? Like neither one of them is a huge scorer the way Hubbard is. Look at the high handoff.
Great pass. That is Ballard finding Davis Fleming on the deuce, and it's Mississippi State back up by a deuce.
Well, being a former big, I love when the bigs share the basketball with one another, putting Mississippi State on top for the first time tonight.
Marshall, the 7-footer with a little spin move. How about that? Peyton Marshall, the former Missouri Tiger, tries to put the defender in the spin cycle.
I love that. I was commenting even prior to the game that I never had a spin move in my 19 years of playing, but that was always a good one right there. The high handoff there, and then look at this, just spinning off that pivot, getting the defense at a disadvantage and taking that contact.
You didn't have that in your bag?
I did not have that in my bag. Even if I did, I don't know if I was going to be able to get up high enough on the dang win to score bucket anyway. They called me tank. I was more of a ground guy. Move people around for Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Yeah. That was my strength.
Well, in college, something tells me if you tried that move for Dean Smith and it didn't work, there'd be a conversation.
Oh, definitely. Probably find myself having that conversation on the bench.
On the bench. Too. Marshall unable to connect at the free throw line. Achor is in the game for the first time, number 99 in black for Mississippi State. He's bounced around a while, but he'll give them some size at 6'9". And there he gets it down low, and it had it stripped out of bounds. And it will remain Mississippi State basketball as we step aside for the second media timeout. 11th.
The hunger, right? The determination, all those things that, I hate to flash back to this guy, the worm, Dennis Rodman.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He was an undersized player at 6'7", but was constantly one of the top rebounders, if not the top rebounder in the NBA for a stretch of about 10 years.
That's what State's trying to do this season. Losing Keyshawn Murphy, one of their top bigs. Hubbard has to defer last second. And Achor misfires on a 3.
Well, we've seen Georgia Tech once offensively coming out of the timeout, running a great baseline out of bounds play. That time defensively, they had a nice job really shutting down the inside, but another turnover, light ball turnover.
Quick hands by Jones, and then they get it to him in the front court. Draws a foul. Sean Jones extremely active here in the first 8 minutes plus of this game.
I gotta like the way Coach Jan's ball club has come out of that locker room. You know, after kind of getting punched in the mouth in the first few minutes of the game, they have settled down, and now they're the more aggressive team taking this fight to the Yellow Jackets.
Fouls on Chaz Kelly, just the second team foul for Georgia Tech. Back and forth we go, a 2-point game. Two teams that really would love to get a statement win here tonight, not just for the challenge, but to kind of figure out who they are and where they are going this season. It's kind of a theme for both coaches today at shoot-around. Hubbard can't connect on the pull-up.
Yeah, do you think that the Coach Stoudemire has not communicated to his team that we got to start doing a better job on our defensive glass?
Reeves, he had the hot hand early, not that time. And a good box out for Mississippi State and Quincy Ballard, the transfer from Wichita State. These two teams met in the first ACC-SEC challenge a couple of years ago. Great drive there by McGee. And in that game, it was Georgia Tech pulling off the upset against the top 25 Mississippi State team. And look at that. We are now tied at 6. Alabama just knocked off Clemson 90-84. So this thing is coming down to the wire, and we are in the late window. Great feed and a ball slam by Quincy Ballard, who drops the hammer, and a timeout called by Georgia Tech as the lead swells to a half dozen for the Bulldogs, a 6-0 run.
Yeah, taking it inside, right? We mentioned the points in the paint, and they're just a better job of really attacking inside, getting that ball off the rim. And I love when a big man uses wheels and the guard rails him. Just a hard hard two-hand jam.
It's the third annual ACC SEC Women's Basketball Challenge, wrapping up tomorrow night as SMU hosting Arkansas at 7 o'clock Eastern Time right here on the ACC Network with three-time NBA champion Scott Williams. I am Mike Orkin. Great to be with you. The nightcap for this ACC SEC Challenge, which will be coming down to the wire. You see Georgia Tech mired in a scoreless drought approaching 3 minutes in length. What do you think the message was at the timeout?
He was not happy with the squad for not sharing the basketball, not attacking inside. When they get a nice little back cut along the baseline and a high-quality finish to finally get them off of 13. They were stuck in mud, as you mentioned there, offensively for a moment.
Reeves gets him out of the quagmire. He leads all Yellow Jackets with 8 points. Another three launched. That is in his range, Achor, although he has really struggled from downtown so far this season, just shooting just 14%. Reeves on a baseline drive just flips it up there. Blind Squirrel does not get the nut on that attempt.
Well, I like the aggressiveness. I just didn't like the finish, the backhand finish on the other side of the rim. I thought he should have powered through the basket, but again, another defensive rebound. They just can't get any fast break points. This Mississippi State team does a really nice job getting back in transition.
State is now 1 for 11 from behind the arc. Otherwise, they'd be dominating this game. That's a major rejection by Ballard. Takes some air out of the basketball. Frenetic action here on the Georgia Tech side. Leads to a three-ball, no good, and they're flying in for the rebound as Achor.
Yeah, that's a couple three-point shots early in this basketball game. Georgia Tech really banging away from the outside. They have not been able to find the range.
Achor again. And that time, the big man delivers, the 6'9" Aussie who transferred from Kansas State. He was part of Bucky Ball at Sanford before that. Bucky McMillan, now the coach at Texas A&M.
Yeah, just 2 of 14 from behind the arc coming into this game. You can see how excited he was to get that three to go. When you shoot 15% or below, any three that goes in is so good for your psyche to visualize that basketball going through the net.
It's a great sign if they can get him going. Stretch the defense out a little bit at 6'9". Mississippi State lost 2 of their key players. Cameron Matthews, who for years was the ultimate Swiss Army knife for them, and Keyshawn Murphy took his talents to Auburn. They're still in the SEC, but playing in another jersey, so they're trying to fill that void as Reeves pulls the trigger, too strong, offensive rebound. Mustaf might have gotten away with a little bit of a walk. Jaden Mustaf.
You know, you mentioned that this team by Coach Jans, they'd lost 3 of their last 4 basketball games, fall behind under 500 for the first time on the season. But you could tell by their energy in which they came to this morning shoot-around, or actually this afternoon at 1:30, that they were a high-energy bunch, and it has translated over to the first half of this basketball game.
They've been road warriors so far today, taking it to Georgia Tech. Mustaf knifing in, banging bodies, and muscles his way home. A beautiful move that time by the sophomore Mustaf.
Yeah, nice quick little drive, like a little SUV coming out of the right side of this floor, took it right into the heart of that Bulldog defense, and he drew a lot of contact, but I like the way these officials are letting him play.
Another three, 1 for 4 now is Achor. Yet another offensive rebound for the Bulldogs. Epps, the former Georgetown Hoya, coughs it up, loose basketball, pinball action. Epps again, somehow kisses it off the window and in, and it's the largest lead for Mississippi State, now 7.
Like, fair to say that Georgia Tech's just getting out hustled, out worked, and that was a ball that they should have had. They should have got a stop on a couple different tries there, and just State had a little bit more want to.
Yeah, and their guards are getting a lot of the offensive rebounds. The smallest guys on the floor have been the difference makers so far. 10 second chance points for Mississippi State. Epps on a stop and go draws the foul as he accelerates.
Yeah, and then, like you say, right down the heart of that Georgia Tech defense. Nobody getting in front, stopping them from getting all the way to the rim. Nothing you can do at that point but foul them and send them to the free throw line.
7:15 to go in the first half. Kind of what we expected. Two teams trading blows here in the first half. Mississippi State on top.
Post and victorious.
Fantastic freshman Caleb Wilson was great in that game. You also had Syracuse winning against Tennessee in a game that also went down to the wire. Tonight, it's more of the same. I mean, we got games coming down to the final minutes. We've already had an overtime affair. You see some of the fantastic finishes in day number 1, and right now this challenge is tied at 6. 18 games overall between the SEC and the ACC, and you see Arkansas defeating Louisville. Alabama had all they could handle from Clemson, and LSU does win it in overtime, 78-69. LSU off to a great start under Coach McMahon. We'll see who can take home this game here tonight. Yellow Jackets and Bulldogs here from Atlanta. Great ball movement, but a 3 is too strong, and grabbing the rebound is Jaden Epps.
Yeah, another good possession coming out of the timeout for Georgia Tech. Really moved that basketball well, and you can see they're getting good looks from behind that arc. Open looks, they just can't find the range.
A 9-point lead for Mississippi State. Shot clock winding down, close to 10 seconds now. Epps in trouble, bottled up near midcourt. Oh, looked like he stepped over and back. He sure did. Yeah,
good call, partner. I did not see that. Good pressure by Georgia Tech, forcing that turnover. They really swarmed Epps out there at that half-court line. Look at that, the ball gets a little loose, and they just stormed out at him. And then, that right foot, good call. Stepped into the backcourt, officials all over. This has been a good crew. Like these guys.
And that's why you have 3 officials. And one official didn't see it. He's looking up top. Another official looking down low, and he spots it. Great job, great teamwork by the men in black and white. Under 7 minutes to go. First half, McCamish Pavilion.
Georgia Tech needs to go inside. They got 16-6 disadvantage points in the paint. They got to get something going inside.
Masura in the game for Mississippi State to add a little size, and the foul is drawn by Georgia Tech. That is Mustaf. That is Jaden Mustaf. You might remember his father, Jared, played 4 seasons in the NBA with the Knicks and the Phoenix Suns.
I remember. He's wear me out in the NBA. All I could do to stay with Mustaf, and before that, when he was up at Maryland doing his thing up there as well. So Mustaf's really a 2. They got him playing a little bit more point guard, but you could see his ability to slash to the basket on that one and get that foul call.
62% on the free throw line this season for Jaden Mustaf, as you see wholesale substitutions for both squads. Georgia Tech now 2 of 6 from the line. Can't get the bounce on the second, though, and Walker comes in for the board. Hubbard, little Euro step, sets up a wide open 3. Got it. A line drive triple for Brandon Walker, the transfer from Montana State.
I'm old enough to remember when that Euro step was just a travel, but he finds his partner on the left side regardless, and they'll call there. And they're the largest lead of the game. They got double figures. They're up 11.
Post up down low. They have kept Sela quiet so far in this game. 5 double-doubles coming in to lead the ACC. Great ball movement. Mustaf fouled and no call.
Well, I said they're letting them play. They're letting bodies and bodies. These big young men being big, strong young men playing a man's game tonight.
Inside, and that will be a foul as Brandon Walker draws the contact. A lot of physicality in this first half.
Well, listen, I like the way Mustaf went to the basket on this last play. He tried to go up and jam it, but you can just see that long arm gets to the ball before the body gets contact, and they say, hey, play on.
Well, I am sitting next to formerly the all-time fouls leader at North Carolina. And if it wasn't for the extra years with COVID, you would still hold that distinction.
Partner, I told you that in confidence this afternoon when we were grabbing lunch.
Hey, that's something to be proud
I need
of.
Did I need to buy your sandwich today?
That would have helped. I'm not going to lie. I can be bought. You should know that, Scott.
Well, listen, and of those 400-plus fouls that I had in the ACC for 4 years at North Carolina, I don't think I committed but about 3 or 4.
Yes.
The officials just had it in.
Clearly, it was personal. I think we've documented that.
Where's Paparo at? I'd like to catch him in a dark alley.
Walker too strong on the free throw. It's a 12-point lead, though, however, for Mississippi State. What do you want to see from Georgia Tech to get this offense in high gear?
Yeah, first of all, they're getting outworked, right? Even when they go inside, they're coming up snake eyes, and they can't make anything from the outside. But they got to go inside. They got to try to go to the foul line, and they got to make the free throws when they get to the foul line.
Mississippi State had a couple of open looks, can't connect, and Damon Stoudemire, now in his 3rd year with this Georgia Tech program. It's always fun catching up with him because when you're talking with an NBA great, a guy who's a former NBA Rookie of the Year, an All-American in college, he expects so much out of his players, especially the guards, because he was such a good player in his own right.
You're 100% right. Again, get another stop on the defensive end. And talking with Damon, he's got Bonzi Wells on that bench as well, another 2-guard, and slasher, scorer. He's just not quite getting consistent play from the guys in that backcourt. And they get another stop, but they just can't score on this end.
A great block by Reeves. Tech has missed 10 of its last 11 from the field. Reeves puts an end to that chilly streak as he delivers his 3rd triple of the night.
First time when he started to pull up and Kraft kicked it over to him, I was like, oh no, don't tell me this kid's gonna fire up another 3. I think he's missed his last 4, but shooters gotta shoot. And he had the confidence to let it fly, and he knocked it in.
Well, that's an easy call. Brandon Walker gave the old chicken wing, trying to carve out some space. Now, Kowacie Reeves single-handedly keeping Georgia Tech in this game.
Well, I like Kowacie Reeves. I'm thinking, no, don't shoot it. And then this kid pulls up. So very scrappy, very hungry, determined Mississippi State, what we've been watching here.
Meanwhile, Georgia Tech remains chilly from outside.
Yeah, just 3 for 11 behind the arc, but shooting 26% overall in this first half. But hey, a little run here in the last 3:30. They're going to feel real good about themselves going into the locker room.
Reeves, beautiful move, spins out of there though, and cradling the rebound is Davis Fleming. And then he stepped out of bounds right in front of our broadcast position, just stepped right on the sideline.
Yeah, Coach Hubbard can't believe it. He's like, we do a great job. We get the stop. I got the ball in my top player's hand sliding down that left side, but he just got those Adidas on that sideline.
Partner, we highlighted that the 2 great bigs that Georgia Tech has in Ndongo and Sela, they have been almost a complete non-factor so far in this game. And you have to wonder when they're going to step it up.
Yeah, I thought they would be dominant right from the get-go on this one, and you're right. They got a little bit early, blocked some shots, and then in about the first 3 minutes, but after the last 15 minutes, we hadn't heard much from these guys. I think Coach Stoudemire maybe sending them a little bit of a lesson, putting Ndongo down there on that pine, and hoping he can bounce back and recover here in the second half.
Ndongo and Sela have combined for just 3 points, and then an and one. Right down Broadway on the drive is Davis Fleming, and he'll have a chance at 3 the hard way.
Well, Davis Fleming, I love this one here. When you talk pick and roll, you want your bigs to open up to the basketball. Opens to the basketball, sees nobody between him and the rim, and just takes it hard to the rack.
There are straight line drives, and then there is the parting of the Red Sea on that play.
Yeah, will not make Coach Stoudemire happy because he worked extensively this morning on pick and roll situations and making sure guys were rotating out of the corner, leaving shooters out of the corner so they could stop the penetration into the middle.
Yellow Jackets down 12 with the basketball here. Trying to find any type of flow on offense. Inside to Reeves, and that's a beautifully designed play on the alley-oop to Sela to get him in the scoring column.
They lost Sela along that baseline, partner, and that's the high handoff. They've worked on that with their coaching staff, with pads and all kinds of padded sticks to deter the shots, and so it's good to see him pay off here during the game.
Hubbard's been quiet, 1 for 5. Reeves has not been quiet, but a great recovery by a Chore to block it after he got blown by Kowacie Reeves.
Yeah, Reeves was on his way to the basket thinking he's got an easy two. I love this right here. And you're sharing in that basketball, you're shooting under 30%. You got to make sure you get one down. And it's a good way to throw it up. Let the big man thunder it through the basket.
Quincy Ballard checks in for Mississippi State. He's a transfer from Wichita State. He led the American in field goal percentage last year at 76%. Offensive rebound, Kraft. Sets up a wide open shooter at the top. And that might not be Sela's range.
Definitely not his strength.
Kraft trying to find daylight. Hubbard has got him shadowed. Shot clock is down to 2. Mustaf sees, fires, missed it, and the rebound corralled by Ballard.
Well, Hubbard's doing a good job on Kraft, and he can't get going. Nobody else can find their shot outside of Reeves, so really don't know where Georgia Tech is going to find any offense. They got to do it on the defensive end and get some more stops.
A lot of contact, and finally a whistle. The foul will go against Sela. Georgia Tech from behind the arc is now 3 for 15.
Even Stoudemire's like, I got to have a seat there. I got my big 28 feet away from the basket, pressure in a guard. When he really didn't need to, right? He kind of had him under control. At that point, you just got to say, I've done my job. Let me get myself back here below the three-point line.
Ndongo back in the game for Georgia Tech, so they go big for big. Usually, Georgia Tech likes to have both of those weapons on the floor at the same time, but Stoudemire right now is trying to find some magic elsewhere.
Yeah, didn't want to see Sela get another foul here in this half. Got him on that bench, bringing Ndongo back. Maybe Ndongo can show Stoudemire something here in this last minute and a half.
Ballard backing in, gets the friendly bounce, and the lead is back to 12. Shot clock at 10. Baseline jumper is true for Mustaf.
Well, that ball got stuck on that left side. Mustaf with a nice looking jump from kind of bailed Georgia Tech out of an empty possession.
Hubbard, crazy off balance shot. The kiss off the window and in. He's got 4.
And the junior's just got such good body control, right? You can put that shoulder into, you take that bump. It's got the concentration to finish after the contact.
State's doing all this damage with the 4th leading scorer having a quiet half, and making some noise on that possession is Ndongo from downtown.
I didn't know Ndongo, the big guy, 240-pounder, 6'11", can stretch it all the way out to the three-point line. Phil Jackson used to find bigs if we shot three-pointers. Not in today's college basketball. They let them fire.
How many checks did you have to write is my question.
Hey, I was making the minimum. I didn't take them in that shot. First of all, Jordan wasn't going to allow it anyway, but I like that right there. Confidence to sit out there. Yeah, we've fucked up only 14 of 15 threes, but let me try my hand at it. Ndongo making them. A nice little bucket there from that left side of the floor.
Next week's men's basketball lineup on the ACC network. It begins on Wednesday night. The Liberty Flames travel to Raleigh, North Carolina to take on Will Wade and his NC State squad. That'll be at 7 o'clock. And then on Thursday, St. Joe's takes on Cayenne Anthony and the Syracuse Orange at 9 o'clock Eastern right here on the ACC network. He's the former Tar Heel, Scott Williams. I am Mike Morgan. Appreciate you stopping by on a Wednesday night here in the ATL. Mississippi State has led throughout this half, 37-28, despite the fact that the nation's 4th leading scorer, Josh Hubbard, only has 4 points up to this point. A little full court pressure. And then Georgia Tech will peel back. Mississippi State can play for the final shot of the half. They'll spread the floor. 10 seconds. Will Epps get a ball screen? He will from Hubbard. Now probes the baseline, tries to dish it, and instead throws it out of bounds with 1.8 on the clock. I think he was trying to hit a Chore. Chore never saw it coming. All right, what do you like here, partner? 1.8, what's your play?
A lot of time with 1.8. You get at least 2, possibly 3 dribbles in, get that ball within about 4 or 5 feet of the three-point line, but you got to get something moving to the front court in this situation. Can't try to overpass. Probably throw it down into the heart of the defense and not get a shot at all.
Always got to look out for the inbounder on a play like this. It is Fleming that's going to trigger it in for Georgia Tech. Throws it in, caught at the top. Marshall with a heave. And that is how the half will come to a close. The first half primarily dominated by Mississippi State, the visiting Bulldogs, up by 9, 37. Cushion on paint points. Turnovers have actually been pretty mild for both of these teams. What do you want to see out of Georgia Tech differently in the second half?
Yeah, I got to see Ndongo and Sala do a better job playing inside. Just 8 points and 4 rebounds with 2 bigs that average 22 and 17. So they got to get after it here to start this second half.
Meanwhile, Mississippi State, great extra pass leads to the 2-hand flush for Ballard. A beautiful opening possession for the Bulldogs.
Great interior passing. We've seen it all night long by State in that first half, sharing that basketball, pushing that lead back up to double digits.
7 points for the former Wichita State Shocker, Quincy Ballard, the 7-foot senior.
I love the action right here. Just this drive creates the mismatch. The big's got to come over and help, and he does a nice job sharing the ball with his mate.
Yellow Jackets. If his name isn't Kowacie Reeves, everybody else in white has struggled from behind the arc tonight. Epps on the drive, the former Hoya with the hoop in the arm and a chance at a 3-point play.
It's almost like Georgia Tech has rolled out a red carpet and is welcoming a lot of these Mississippi State players to drive right down the heart of their defense. See, again, just nobody stepping up. Everybody inside that restricted area. And once there's contact down there, that's an automatic easy call for the official.
That's a blow by and no help from your bigs.
Yeah, no help. Got to get up higher, closer to those letters. I don't know if you got to be all the way out to the free throw line, but you got to be up closer to those ACC letters down that paint area to try to be a deterrent or a shot block.
10 points now for Jaden Epps. We talked about the importance of the addition of Epps to help Hubbard in the backcourt this year.
He's doing it. He's been averaging about 15 points a game, so well above his target for tonight. And again, one and done. Nice job snatching that ball. Defensive rebounder off and running with Hubbard.
Hubbard, slow roll, Euro step, and a teardrop floater.
Yeah, Hubbard, he had a slow first half for a guy that's 3rd in the nation in scoring. Just 4 points in that first half, but he in no time getting in the scoring column here in this second half.
Largest lead for Mississippi State. Every three-pointer he hits, and he's hit 238 threes. He's got fans that have partnered up with him to donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation in Mississippi to help out patients. Just a truly great story in the spirit of what people like Dick Vitale have been able to launch. Of course, the late Jimmy Valvano and the V Foundation. And Josh Hubbard, who has been such a mainstay for this Mississippi State program now in his 3rd year. In fact, Chris Jan said, you know, he was obviously concerned. You know, people nowadays are hunting shooters in the portal, but Josh Hubbard put everything to rest in this offseason. He said, quote, "It never crossed my mind. I wanted to stay with the Bulldogs." He's from Madison, Mississippi, and he's making a difference in the community in Mississippi.
Yeah, I really love that. That was the best part about the shoot-around on both sides this morning. Hearing what this young man is doing with this platform to help us.
Mississippi State almost had an easy bucket down low, but Davis Fleming had it stripped. Georgia Tech needs something to get going on offense. Chatfield is in the game, and so too is that man, Kowacie Reeves. He has been the one constant shooting threat, number 14 in white, Kowacie Reeves.
Yeah, without Reeves, they would be lost. And he hasn't shot a great percentage, but he's knocking in points. Kind of when Georgia Tech needs a bucket. There's that man right there. We were just spotlighting there on Hubbard. He's just so strong when he gets in that painted area. He can absorb that contact, doesn't get knocked off his shot.
Reeves again. Reeves heating up for Georgia Tech at the right time, and it's down to a 12-point game.
Well, one thing Coach Stoudemire talked about, like, know your personnel. He kept saying that over and over again, referring to Hubbard. Right now, Mississippi State has got to realize they better know their personnel, because Kowacie Reeves is hot as fish grease, and he's knocking in threes from all over the floor.
Reeves on the breakaway. Reeves missed the layup. Tapped out of bounds, and it'll be Mississippi State basketball. I was just about to add to the point total of 17 for Reeves, but he could not finger roll it in.
I'm not 100% sure there wasn't some contact on here just to try to bail him out. I love this right here, the way he gets himself back on balance after the ball comes together. And let's see if there's any contact. No, he just ran out a little power outage and didn't power that thing over the top of the front of the rim.
Blew a flat tire there right before contact and liftoff for the rim. So now it's still a 12-point game. Reeves has kept him in it. You don't want this guy to heat up if you're Georgia Tech. That's Hubbard. Hubbard missing on the mid-range. Exciting opening stanza to the second half. Drive and kick. Baseline drive by Washington, who's been quiet in this game. Lobs it down low, turn around, silky smooth, hook shot for Ndongo.
That's what Ndongo needed, right? He just needed a basket. He had a couple 6 points there in that first half, but he kind of needed something to get himself going here early in the second half. I love that left shoulder turn, right hand jump hook, something he's done 10,000 times probably over the course of his young career.
Ndongo, the leading returning scorer and rebounding for Georgia Tech. They hope to get more out of him. Right now, his team trails 46-36 in Atlanta. Georgia started his career in Gainesville, and Georgia Tech was very fortunate to grab him in the portal, and certainly a guy they're going to lean on quite a bit this season.
Yeah, we're talking to Coach Stoudemire. He spent a lot of time with us after the shoot around, and he realizes, hey, I got this team. I'm still trying to figure out what I got, and Kowacie Reeves showing up big time, showing him quite a bit.
Walker with some happy feet and turns it over with the shot clock winding down. So great defense there by Georgia Tech, the 7th turnover on the Bulldogs.
Well, you can see that Coach Stoudemire, when he's got a chance to talk to his troops coming out of timeout situations or free throw situations, he really coaches them up well. Whether on both sides of the floor, they're in a defensive stand or they're trying to get a bucket. He's got them well prepared, leaving the huddle.
Sela, feathery touchdown low for Mo Sela.
And I think these bigs, Mike, are starting to flex their muscles a little bit. We had Ndongo with the little right-hand hook, and now Sela down there, the young freshman, doing his darn thing inside.
And a bucket on the other end by Hubbard, big time.
How did he get that off over the long-arm Ndongo, who I thought was going to come over and send that thing into the second row? And the crafty Hubbard just found a way to squirt that thing high up off the backboard.
We talked about he's sub 6 feet, but he's got hydraulics for legs. Always reaches up and rises as Reeves hits yet another shot. I mean, Kowacie Reeves, if Georgia Tech comes back and wins this game, 20 points now for the senior. Reeves has been integral in everything they've done on offensive.
Yeah, I think he gets the game ball at this point right now, unless somebody else hits a game winner. Reeves definitely, and they get another stop. Georgia Tech doing it on the defense.
The steal by the freshman Chatfield. Chatfield missed it, and the rebound corralled by Epps.
Trying to go inside, might have forced that one a little bit, Mike.
Stayed on the attack, and a block foul called, and Mississippi State will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, it's going to be on Reeves down there. Tried to draw the charge, but I think his heels were on that restricted area.
And that's a rule I like too. It's really changed, more so with secondary defenders. It's a lot harder to draw a charge now in college basketball than it used to be.
Oh, yeah, those Duke players used to stay underneath the net. After you slam the ball down there, they would take that charge, but you can see clearly inside that restricted area. And it makes it a lot easier for the officials, right? Like, it gives them a clear line for all three officials to be on the same page as to where those feet have to be planted to be able to take that charge.
When you talk to officials, I think they like the change in the rule because it takes a little bit of the pressure off them. I mean, when you ask them about it, they're like, look, if it's in doubt, it's going to be a block. You've got to really make sure primary defender set before the offensive player gets in there and makes the contact. Reeves tears away the rebound. It's an 8-point game. Mississippi State has led throughout, but Georgia Tech starting to cut into the lead. Ndongo on a triple. Bat of the round, out of bounds, and it will remain Yellow Jacket basketball.
It was Ndongo that had one in that first half. He had knocked down a triple. He decided to try his hand for another one in the second half here. I kind of like that shot when you're up by 8 rather than when you're trying to mount a comeback and you got all of a sudden you got some good mojo, you got some momentum working. Don't necessarily want to see your near 7-footer shooting it from out there.
And just a tough turnover, a travel on Washington. Let me ask you, as a former post player, we've talked so much about Georgia Tech's their dynamic duo of great big men, 2 of the best in the ACC. But you have to demand the basketball. The guards bring it up the floor. They control. Do you want to see more paint touches for those 2?
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to see him play more inside out. Even if it wasn't the fact that they were trying to score down there, that's going to shrink the defense, get them up off some of those shooters because they're going to have to help inside. If the bigs are down there close to the basket with the ball, you can throw it outside, try to get a cleaner look for either a 3 or a mid-range jumper.
Great move inside, and Brandon Walker willing his way to an and 1.
What a nice move down low because he took his time, right? Like there's no sense of urgency. I got a one-on-one situation here. I'm going to do 2 dribbles middle. I'm going to come back baseline. That's something these guys work on over and over again in practice with the big man's coach.
He was all Big Sky at Montana State, the 6'8", 255 big. Brandon Walker now taking his talents to Mississippi State, and he's got 11 points to lead all Bulldogs.
Yeah, that's what Mississippi State needed right there too, right? They'd seen that 16-point lead shrink down to single digits. They needed a bucket, but here goes Ndongo. That's where I want to see you play, Mike. Pick, little roll right down to the middle of the ring. Didn't have to take it all the way to the rim. Shows his little float game. Nice soft touch for the big man.
Strong float game. A man who added 25 pounds to his 6'9" frame in the offseason.
Yeah, we were talking earlier how Coach Stoudemire really challenged his team after practice with a 10-minute talk about, do you want it?
Right.
And they're showing some want in the second half here.
I'll tell you who wants it right now is Mississippi State, and Sean Jones finding that triple late clock situation.
I love the precision of the passing. A good pass will lead to a good quality shot. Jones Jr. knocked it down.
Kraft on a fade and fire. Don't look now. We got a little flow to this basketball game.
Hey, guys are making some shots. This is fun basketball now, partner. We were wondering when Kraft was going to join the party.
The rock fight is over. Washington, long rebound ahead of the pack. Sets up the big man Ndongo, and a rejection. Follow no good. Mississippi State and Brandon Walker getting back on D. Tough shot, off balance by McGee.
I think Ndongo would want that attempt back. I don't know if it was fatigue or what, but a big man like that should be finishing overhand at the rim. Yeah, he's out of gas.
This game getting awfully physical down low as a whistle finally called. That's going to be Peyton Marshall, who Damon Stoudemire says reminds him of one.
Carolina, then followed 15-year careers in the NBA. A good player and just a better guy, better person. So gone too soon at 57. Easy E is going to be missed, and it was a hard blow for the NBA family.
Such a great talent, and like you said, anybody who knew Eldon Campbell knew him as a great person as well. That 1990 season where he was the first team all ACC, that year Georgia Tech actually won the regular season ACC championship. The player of the year, these are all guys you know oh too well. The player of the year in the ACC was Dennis Scott. The rookie of the year was Kenny Anderson. So 2 guys very familiar with this building right here on the campus of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and we saw a clip of me trying to ineffectively guard Eldon Campbell.
Is that what you call that?
I don't think Coach Bill Smith was real happy about me sliding my biscuits down, cutting off that baseline as he went by me like a turnstile. He was a tough guard cover. He was a big man, but he had a quick first step, and he was explosive off the ground as well. So quite a good player. And yeah, I took some lumps down here in Georgia Tech over my career. Dal Rempel and Tommy Hammonds, and you mentioned Dennis Scott hitting a buzzer beater 3 in '89 to win one for the Yellow Jackets after Kevin Madd tried to hit me with an inbound pass. Like, why are you throwing it to me? I don't want it. I'm a 60% shooter.
There's so many great players that have come through this Georgia Tech program over the years, going back in particular to that Bobby Cremins era. Every time you looked up, he had a 5-star point guard.
I almost came to Georgia Tech. They were one of my 5 finalists. Coming out of Southern California, I just loved Perry Clark and Bobby Cremins, and took an official visit here to Georgia Tech. So I was close to being wearing the Yellow Jacket jersey myself at one point. There's Dennis Scott's retired jersey number, our colleague now at ESPN.
Yeah, that could have been a great inside-outside game, you and Dennis Scott. Just saying.
I would have liked that. Yeah.
Not that you would trade in your Tar Heel years for anything.
Let me make that clear. Yes. Tar Heel Nation, I am very much still bleeding blue and very happy with my decision to go to North Carolina. But
I'm just trying to put together my fantasy team.
That would be
trying to match it, mix and match here.
That would have been great. But we had some battles against these ACC guys, and I'm glad to be back calling the action here in this ACC-SEC challenge, which is really starting to get tight here.
Well,
ACC dominated day one, but it's the SEC coming back with a little revenge.
That's right. It's 6-6 as we speak, and the night session here that's going on is going to determine it. By the way, the 5 out of the 7 games today are on the home floors of SEC schools, so there's an advantage from the Southeastern Conference standpoint. Last year, of course, the SEC dominated 14-2, but this year, a different story. The ACC showed itself very well in some close clashes last night. We might have another close clash here.
Talk about close clashes. That 16-point advantage has shrunk down now to 6, and they're struggling to find a bucket here.
Shot clock down to 7. Up top, Hubbard got it from downtown. A clutch 3 by Josh Hubbard.
Hey, just such a good player to be able to throw the ball to in a short clock situation. I think Hubbard uses his vertical leap, his time in the air to get back on balance, back on target, to get a good, clean look at the front of the rim.
Fleming lost it, picked it up. Chris Jans wants a double dribble, not going to get it.
You can always pick up a loose ball,
right.
And as long as you don't re-dribble after you've lost the basketball. So Coach Jans, as much as he wanted that travel situation, he ain't going to get it. Officials aren't buying what Coach Jans is selling.
Big shot by Fleming. Back to a 7-point game. Hubbard, heat check 3 from the wing. Josh Hubbard starting to ignite, and the lead swells to 10. Kraft on the response, no. Offensive rebound for the Yellow Jackets.
Reeves has done a little bit of everything tonight, right? He's scoring the ball, gets a big offensive rebound there.
Kraft, floater, short. Hubbard on the board. Hubbard on the attack. And draws a reach-in foul on Mustaf.
That's going to be the 5th foul on Georgia Tech. We still got 9.5 minutes to play in this one. But how good is the 3rd leading scorer in the nation? Just a little catch and shoot, shot clock down to 5 seconds. And I love this one right here. Just a little inside out, snap back dribble to the left. Had the defender go on one way as he's going up for his jump shot the other way to create that distance for a clean look. So if he's not rising up above the defenders, he's got that ability to shoot the step back off the bounce.
It's funny, having covered Hubbard for 3 years now, and he's probably about 5'10". I can't remember his shot being blocked. He has an amazing ability to get it off against bigger opponents.
So that's why I asked Chris Jans about it. He was like, have you not seen him play? Do you see how high he gets off the floor? He looked at me incredulously like, what have you been doing with this in the month of November, Williams? He's only the 3rd leading scorer in the country.
Walker, back iron, tipped around. Georgia Tech corrals it. Here comes Washington the other way. Up top, Fleming all the way, rejected I mean, an absolute swat by Ballard.
Turn to center. Here comes Hubbard the other way. Oh, he stuck his leg out and got the foul call. Crafty move by the junior.
Hubbard did a full-out split with his legs, drawing the contact.
Yeah, hard to think that the officials would think this was a natural shooting motion, but I love this one right here. I love when the big guys patrol that painted area, swatting that one away, says you shall not pass. And then Hubbard, he's realizing he's got it going right now. He's got it stuck on automatic. He comes right down, kind of in the wash of a bunch of players getting back on defense, is able to get that contact, and he's going to go to the line. I don't know, is he shooting 2 here or 3 here?
I thought it was 3.
Yeah, he's well behind that line. I don't see much contact there, but that's one of those plays that you kind of wish you could review, I guess.
Hubbard, a 76% free throw shooter.
Yeah, just 4 points in the first half, and now what is Hubbard up to now? It seems like he's got 10 points here in the last few minutes. 17 points, working on that, make it 18.
He's also extended his streak now to 55 consecutive games with a three-pointer. That's a school record. He was a scoring dynamo back at Madison Ridgeland High in Madison, Mississippi.
You know, we mentioned his make-a-wish. One other thing I want to talk about is he does a showcase for top players back at his hometown in Madison. So I think what he's doing with his NIL, what he's doing with his platform, just so nice and refreshing to see.
He's got mom and dad in the seats here tonight at the Camish Pavilion. They were telling us his parents traveled to every game, home and away, to watch Josh Hubbard play. There you see the Hubbards.
They gotta be so proud, mom and dad right there. Teams in a dogfight here in the second half, and they look like cool as the other side of the ball. There's no stress at all in their faces.
They are calm as can be right now. Mississippi State enjoying a 13-point cushion. Jones will check in for the Bulldogs. Eric Chatfield, the freshman out of Pace Academy here in Atlanta, will come in for the Yellow Jackets. He was a 3-time All-State performer in high school.
You mentioned Silla's struggle from the line, under 40%. Missed the first, but got the second to go.
Well, a 12-point lead, plenty of time if you're Georgia Tech, and they'll try to heat up some pressure here.
Well, one thing they better recognize when they talked about know your personnel, they know Hubbard's he wasn't having a good first half, and he's got it going now. They got to get that basketball out of his hands.
Hubbard feeling it. Tech boarding it. Here comes Washington. That's been the man all night long, Kowacie Reeves, but that one rattles out.
Yeah, halfway down, but spat back out, just into a shooting motion a little too quickly.
Second effort, bounces in for Quincy Ballard.
Ballard's had some nice minutes on the floor for this Mississippi State team. I love that one that rolled down the basket, and the ability to stay with his own miss. Again, second chance points been big for the Bulldogs.
30 points in the paint tonight for Mississippi State. They have taken it to the bigger Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket squad. And that'll be more. That's 2 more in the paint. An athletic floater from Jabari McGee off the window and in.
Yeah, they have not been afraid of these shot blockers by Georgia Tech at all, constantly. And it's not always the bigs taking it in there. A lot of times it's the smaller guys slashing inside.
Timeout here in Atlanta, 68-52. The Bulldogs up big. All agree we want to see it every year for eternity. In the ACC, the SEC, 2 of the best conferences around. Last year, of course, it was dominated by the SEC. It's going to be a different looking final tally this year as you see the updated scores. Auburn right now leading Will Wade's NC State Wolfpack squad. And Vanderbilt, one of the biggest surprises in all of college basketball. Coach Byington has done outstanding work. They're up big against SMU. Virginia blowing out the Longhorns. That game is in Austin. So it's going to come down to these final 4 games, who's going to win this event. But Scott, kudos to both conferences and all the coaches saying, let's challenge ourselves in December and have these great matchups. There's always going to be room for some quote-unquote mid-major matchups, cream puffs, if you will, in many cases. But these games challenge you and get you ready for conference play.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, Vandy, SMU, 2 undefeateds going at each other. In fact, talking to Coach Jans, he wanted to schedule an exhibition game with Georgia Tech, and all of a sudden the schedule came out. So wait, we got to pump the brakes because we're going to be facing off each other in early December. So I like the fact that they are scheduling games that matter early in December, and we get a chance as hoop heads, right?
Yeah.
To just soak up all this good action.
Oh, this is great. Ahead of the pack, Jones cut off at the baseline, and now Mississippi State will do the wise thing, set it up in the half court. Hubbard with those mid-air scissor kicks draws another foul.
There's a good shot of Mom and Dad. Mom getting a little chuckle out of that one, out of her young man there, as he, like he said, he's got that rise, right? Like he hangs in the air, and it causes the defender to, while he's going straight up, they're still moving side to side, and they move right into him.
Sunday night, the Huddle crew will have the annual Selection Sunday Special, a 2-hour show that includes full breakdowns of the ACC's bowl and playoff-bound teams, covered starting at 6 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. He's Scott Williams. I'm Mike Morgan. Glad to be with you on a Wednesday night in the ATL. Mississippi State trying to pull off what might be considered a mild upset on the road. 2 teams really trying to find themselves as we inch closer and closer to conference play. Hubbard had it stripped, and this should be an easy deuce. Washington on the other end. Lamar Washington.
They needed a bucket badly there, and a good live ball turnover. They got something going the other way, and trying to cut into that large deficit. Got it down now to a 14-point game. There's plenty of time left in this game for Georgia Tech to make a good little run here. See if they can put some pressure on State. When that ball, see if that basket can shrink down a little bit. Right now, Hubbard's got it stuck on automatic with 17 second-half points.
Can they get some stops? Shot clock at 5. Down to 3. And that'll be another stop. So Georgia Tech can continue to try and slice this deficit. Down from 14. Reeves buries the triple, and it's down to 11.
I love that one. Hubbard got caught going for the steal, and he did come up with the ball, left Reeves wide open down in that left corner. And that lead, that's the easiest 3 to make, and Reeves made him pay. What is that now?
23, yeah, 7 threes, 23 total points for Kowacie Reeves. He's at times been a one-man wrecking crew for Tech. And then the float game is strong for Sean Jones.
Yeah, nice interior passing, really moving that ball. Does not stick in any of those State players' hands, and then came up with an easy bucket inside. 4 points in the paint.
91 consecutive games played for Jones out of Houston, Texas. And then coughing it up down low. That's a tough break for Ndongo. It just has not been Ndongo's night.
Ndongo, he's got the 12 points, but it's
a quiet 12, right?
Right. It hasn't been the impressive get the crowd out of the seat with some monster jams or offensive putbacks, and they're going to need some of that. I just said 5 minutes to go, ton of time.
What he did last year for this Yellow Jacket squad, it wasn't just the points. He led them in rebounding, steals, blocks.
More good interior passing by Mississippi State. Ballard couldn't get that little lefty off glass to go, but I'm really impressed the way this Coach Jan's team shares the ball.
Washington, a couple of jabs, passed up an open 3, and then hits a tough 2.
Look at the pressure, picking up Reeves now, pressuring Ballard all up down the floor.
Oh my goodness. Hubbard slicing, dicing, and dishing to Davis Fleming.
Not just a scorer, right? Good court vision. A well-balanced basketball player finds his big along the baseline.
And And Hubbard flying in for the rebound. Coming up on the 4-minute mark of this basketball game, Mississippi State trying to pick up what would be its biggest win of the year, a road victory against an ACC foe.
Yeah, and then look at this one more time here by Hubbard, right? You get that ball below the free throw line, especially if you got it below the free throw line in the paint, good things are going to happen for you. And you can see right there, Hubbard just finding his big ballot along that baseline for the easy two-hand jam. When you're coming off a loss, when you've lost 3 of your last 4, this is exactly the way Coach Chance needed his team to respond. Look, he's see that 4 minutes to go. He's still barking out orders to his squad.
He was still, when he talked to us today, fired up about that SMU game. He said, we were up 9, 7 minutes to go. We commit a foul on a 3-point shot, a 4-point play for SMU, then give it right back to SMU. They hit another 3, so before you know it, it's a 7-0 run. They wind up losing the game in overtime, and the frustration level starting to mount. But one thing you know, if you follow Chris Jans enough, never count out a Chris Jans coached basketball team.
You know, like I said, I was at Grand Canyon basketball, and they played the same conference there with New Mexico State, and he just ran roughshod over the WAC conference for years before he got this gig.
A timeout on the floor with 3:58 to go. Mississippi State up by 15 over Georgia Tech. ACC, SEC Men's Challenge coming at you from Atlanta and McCamish Pavilion. 6 feet. You see what he did in his first 2 years. Allen Houston at Tennessee, Bernard King. A couple of these guys you played against. Scott, the 6 degrees of Scott Williams is a real thing, folks. And then Josh Hubbard, of course, he is lighting it up in his first couple of years, did light it up in Starkville, and now in his junior campaign continues to impress. Really,
really impressive. My first time getting a good up front and close look at this young man, and I like the way he was content to kind of let his teammates kind of control that first half and go to that double-digit lead, going to the locker room, and in the second half he said, okay, it's winning time, it's Hubbard time.
Offensive rebound time for Mississippi State. They have put together an array of offensive boards and dominated points in the paint tonight. Hubbard, look at that move right there.
Are you kidding me? Josh Hubbard. He had a defender on him 35 feet away from the basket, never lost his dribble, kept himself on balance, and finished inside.
The 4th career game for Hubbard with 25 points and 5 assists. He has taken over this game tonight. The #1 scorer in the SEC, one of the top scorers in the country. They cough it up here, though.
Did a nice job volleying him up there just on the other side of half court.
3 ball, no. Again, Mississippi State doing a great job boxing out.
How many times have I heard you say 3 ball no when it comes to Georgia Tech? They have not been able to put it in the basket outside of Reeves. Just 2 other players have made 3-point shots.
Yeah, they've missed 20 of their 28 threes. And other than Kowacie Reeves, nobody has been strong from distance tonight for the Yellow Jackets as well. Mississippi State trying to close out Georgia Tech up by 15 here. The final 2.5 to go from McCamish Pavilion. Shot clock at 5. Epps in traffic. No. Follow-up slam, and dropping the hammer is Davis Fleming.
That's what that penetration does, right? Like, everybody's got to come to the ball to either defend or try to block the shot. It's always going to leave a big on the weak side available to be able to attack that rim, and Davis Fleming did not disappoint with his follow.
There is Sela. He has been quiet, but a little bully ball down low on that move. 7 points for the talented freshman.
Well, it's unlikely now with under 2 minutes to play here. Georgia Tech's going to get this victory. But Coach Stoudemire, he saw, I got this one.
It's coming out to big guy. That's an entry pass. You were ready, right?
Coach saved me there. I was going to get up a little jumper on the right side, but he can see that his team still got a little fight in them. Even though when they were down by 16, they cut it to 6. Got down by 16 again and still battled back with some nice play. I know it's early on in the season, and they're scuffling around now here. They're going to suffer their 3rd loss in a row. but there's things to build on if you're Coach Stoudemire here with this squad.
See a three-point opportunity here for Sela. Might be a little too late. You know, you brought up a great point. Our time at shoot around today, and always enjoy talking with Damon Stoudemire. But had a long talk with his team, and you and I were kind of eavesdropping a little bit. It wasn't a talk about strategy. No. It wasn't breaking down film. It was a test of want to and might. He was challenging his team. I thought it was very interesting to see the way he was trying to get his squad motivated, and he might have some more discussions after this one.
Sure, they'll have some chalk talk, and you know, I think that, like I said earlier, they did show some fight here in this second half. They didn't perform the way they wanted to. It wasn't like they weren't trying in the first half. They didn't make shots.
Right.
Like shoot under 30%. It's hard to stay close to your opponent. But they did make some shots for a stretch here in the second half, and they chipped into that, like I say, 16-point disadvantage, got it down to 6. But then Hubbard. I mean, what are you going to do with this kid? This kid's absolutely fantastic. He decided at that point it was time for him to flip the switch, and he took over this basketball game.
He's been able to light up a lot of good defenses around the SEC over the years. Tonight doing it against an ACC opponent. The future is still bright for Damon Stoudemire and Georgia Tech. Back-to-back top 25 classes. Talking to Paul Biancardi, our national recruiting analyst, he says look out for next year's freshman class, another top 25 class for Georgia Tech. So the talent is coming into Atlanta, which you're going to need to have to compete in the ACC this year and beyond. Easy path to the basket for Fleming. 12 points for the freshman. There you see the current count right now. 9 clinches it for somebody. SEC is up 7-6. And it looks like Auburn is going to win over NC State as they're up 10 with 13 seconds left. So it looks like the SEC might defend its crown if things continue to go the way they are here in the night session.
They definitely came roaring back with a vengeance here on day number 2. And hey, but if you're the ACC, you showed well, right? Like after getting smacked pretty good last year, 14-2. And a lot of those games weren't even close. I think they really showed a much stronger ACC this year than we've seen in a while.
I know you like Duke with Cam Boozer. What's not to like?
Well, I don't like Duke. I like Cam Boozer. Well, I'm a Carolina guy. I can't say that. I can't ever say. They won't let me back at Chapel Hill if I say I like Duke.
Fair point. You respect the talent of Duke.
100%.
I know you love Caleb Wilson.
Yes.
Of the Tar Heels. I want to get some of the other teams you're looking for this year in the ACC in just a few moments as Washington misfires. Hubbard, who else? Top floor for the rebound. Under a minute to go, and State holding on to a 12-point lead.
That's going to do it, obviously, for this one, as they're going to try to work on some things that they'll need in close ball games by committing that foul. So why you foul them? Because you might need this later on in a close game.
And with this win, the SEC will clinch the 3rd annual ACC SEC Men's Challenge. But I want to get your thoughts again on the rest of the ACC. Give me some other teams that folks out there can look for this year.
Well, SMU, I know they didn't get the victory this evening, but I think that they got a solid squad there. We talked to Cal is not in the tournament. Cal's doing good things out there. They lost Stojakovic, but they got Scottie Pippen, one of my former teammates. Kids out there on their squad, so they're going to be something to be reckoned with as well. Talked about Duke, talked about Carolina.
Brad Brownell and Clemson.
Yeah, no, Clemson, I had them earlier this year. Those guys fight hard. I like the way he coaches his squad up. Came up a little short after a furious comeback today. But, you know, Louisville obviously has got themselves a squad as well. It's the teams that are, you know, like the Duke, Louisville, the teams that are top 20 in scoring, top 30 in defense, and they've won 19 of the last 20 national championships. So you got to be able to do it on both ends. Both Duke, Louisville get that done.
Now, the ACC always has a team seemingly in the Final Four and competing for the national championship. I think the fans around this league want to see the depth get back, and maybe this is the year that happens.
I believe it is. And I wasn't too high on the ACC coming in before game 1, but after having seen the way these these coaches and these young players and how the transfer portal, how well they have them clicking early in the season. I have high hopes for the ACC this year.
Lamar Washington, who was all West Coast Conference at Pacific, someone they needed to come in to Atlanta to help fill the void at the point guard spot. Tap in, just kind of slithering in there. That time was Sela. I mean, they're still within reach. You got 22.7 on the clock, 12-point game if you can get some turnovers here. And that's one right there. How about a three? This will make it interesting. A miss, though, and Mississippi State boards it. There was your slight crack of the window, Scott.
Well, you were a little more optimistic than I was, but I was wondering where you were going with that.
Try to keep people tuned in for the final 20 seconds.
I totally understand. Hey, I got to tip my hat to this Mississippi State squad. These guys are scrappy. Yeah.